Hello there. I'm Huey Poplock. This past week, two of my friends contacted me that they either had a hard drive failure and the other one had a computer failure. The first thing I asked them was, did you back up? Because if they backed up, then it's a matter of getting them either a new hard drive or a new computer and restoring their data and their programs. I'm going to talk about some backup programs that I use. I'm not going to train you on how to use them. I'm just going to give you an introduction to what they are and how they can be used, and then you can decide for yourself whether you want to try them. Here is a typical hard drive file manager. And then, poof, they're all gone. What do you do? Well, there's several ways you can back up your system in advance. You have to do it before, not after your hard drive failure. Hard drive failures happen, and they always happen. It's not a matter of if they are going to happen, it's a matter of when they are going to happen. Image backups is one way of backing up your system. An image backup, they are just what the name states, an image of your entire operating system, including files, executable programs, and the operating system configurations. Professional backup solutions will create full or incremental images of the hard drive in an automated fashion. With an image backup, you can restore a single file, a directory, or an entire disk to the same or another hardware or to a virtual machine. You can back up to different devices, such as an external USB drive, a network-attached hard drive, network-attached services, or other devices. And here's what it is. It goes from the hard drive to either the cloud or to an external hard drive, or from files to an external hard drive. Now there's another way in which you can back up, and that is file backups. Now file and folder backups will back up each file on your PC or the ones that you designate. They don't work in case you want to do a full restore of an operating system. File backup systems will save documents, but not the applications that created them. If you did not set up your file backup to save all the documents on your machine, then you won't be able to restore them. You can generally configure file backup systems to take an automated backup of everything at a set time. There's a third way in which you can do a backup, and that's cloning. When you clone a drive, it's simply copying everything on it, including the boot records, files, settings, and themes, to another drive, and get an identical drive. With this technique, there's no intermediary process, as you just connect both drives, copy their contents of the source drive to the destination drive. Then you take the duplicate drive out, you put it in a safe place. If you need it, you then just swap the drives and you're ready to go. So the created drive can be used immediately as a primary drive or kept as a replica. You need to do this often to make sure that you have a recent cloned drive. Now, for my backup, I use Acronis True Image, the latest version being 2021. It sells for about $50. It is one copy per computer. So if you have two computers, you're going to have to buy two copies of it. They do have some special deals that if you buy three, you get a reduced rate and so on. And the address is at the bottom. You go to acronis.com. Now, yesterday, or over this past weekend, I did a backup of my system. You'll see on the left is the WDC, which is a Western Digital drive that's in my computer. It happens to be an SSD card. And I backed up to an external drive, which is a 10 terabyte external drive. It started the backup, and you can see there it's backing. It had already backed up 93 gigabytes. You can see there that it's saying there's 1 hour and 12 minutes remaining, and I already have backed up about 100 gigabytes, which is about 10% of what I have. And there it is, a little bit larger, so you can see it a little bit better. Then as it proceeded, there was 33 minutes left. And when it finished, it actually took 1 hour and 3 minutes to back up a total of 852.9 gigabytes. 113 of those were pictures, 113 gigabytes. 256 gigabytes of videos, 15 plus gigabytes of audio, 38, almost 38 gigabytes of documents, 30 gigabytes for the system, and then there was another 400 gigabytes of miscellaneous type files. But it did complete. I have a full image backup of my computer as of Saturday at 10:30 in the morning. Some people don't like Acronis True Image, and they use a program called Macrium Reflect. Version 7 is the latest. There is actually a free version of it. And for most people, that's probably all you need. So you don't have to spend $50 or more or less to have a good image backup software. You can use Macrium Reflect. And there's the website on the bottom of the page. You can see the features. There's a lot of features that are not included in the free version, but there are a lot of items that are featured in all of their versions that you can see in this chart. This is the top of that chart from the last slide. And if you get the free version, you don't get any support, where if you have the paid versions, you do get various levels of support depending upon the version that you have. Another way in which I back up, I use some cloud backup. I use one called iDrive. There are various backup services in the cloud. I happen to have tried iDrive several years ago, probably over 5 years ago. They've been using it ever since. They've now increased the minimum storage that you buy is 5 terabytes. It's generally $70 a year, $69.50 to be exact. But they are running a deal, you can see right here, for $6.95 for 1 year. Might be worth a try. After that, their special price is $52 a year for 5 terabytes of storage. Now, what they did, because I had, at the time when I first started, I had about a half a gigabyte of data that I wanted to store and back up in the cloud. They sent me a hard drive for free. I ran their software, backed up to the hard drive. I mailed it back to them at their cost. And they then put it on the cloud after that. So I didn't have to spend several weeks of uploading to the cloud to get all of my data there. You can see how much what I back up to iDrive, my desktop, the documents, downloads, my Evernote, music, pictures, and videos. You'll notice on the right how much I am backing up from each of those at the time that this was taken, which was Saturday of this past weekend. iDrive allows me to back up several computers to the same backup cloud. So instead, about half of that is for this particular computer, and then I have some other computers, including my phone, being backed up to the cloud. Here's a typical operation, backup operation, which didn't work completely. I've been having some issues, but their tech support has been very good. Since I changed computers, it doesn't seem to want to tell me that it completed the backup. But when I go out and look at the files out on the cloud, they're there. So I am not concerned, but they've been working with me to try to make the software indicate that I am getting all of my files backed up. So you're seeing that I have failure, but each one shows an increase in the number of files that are out there. So it is still backing up my files. And as I said, I have gone back out there and looked online in the cloud, and I can see the files that are being backed up. I can also tell it to schedule backup. Normally I have it set for every night at a certain time, and it's taking anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. If I'm not using the computer, it can take about an hour to do my backup. If I'm using the computer, it slows it down some, and so it may take 2 or 3 hours, but it's doing it in the background, and I can continue working. Now, to do a file-by-file backup, I use something called Allway Sync, which is free. And there is the address for it at the bottom. Once you install it, it says, okay, you need to synchronize and browse first and pick the folder that you want to check, and then go to the other folder, whether it be on a different drive or on the same computer, a different computer, wherever it is, as long as it can connect. And then you tell it to analyze. So I've got the 2 drives, one on a C drive and one on a portable hard drive. I tell it to analyze, and it goes and says, okay, here are all the files on the C drive, and you don't have any of these on the D drive. And it created the folder for me. I told it to, and it created a folder, but there's nothing in that folder. So you can see where it says do not exist on the right-hand side. So then at that point, I click on the button that says synchronize, and it synchronizes it one file at a time, but it does it quickly. As a matter of fact, it did it in about a minute and a half. If you try to do this from one folder to another hard drive, the same folder, using File Manager in Windows, for instance, and it fails, you don't know which files had been duplicated and which files had not. With this, it figures it all out and says, okay, this one's already there. It's the same file, so you don't have to do anything, and I'll take care of the rest, and it will then fill it up. So it's a really good program, and as I said, it's free. And again, when it was finished, it was updated. All the files are on both the external drive and on the drive. And the next time I do this, and when I do the analyze, it'll show me any files that have been changed or any files that are new. And when I tell it to synchronize, it will put them in either direction. So if I make a change on one drive, on one hard drive, and then on another hard drive with the same folder, it will sync them in either direction. So, in conclusion, please back up. Doesn't matter what you use or how you do it, but do double check and make sure that the backup worked and that you do have a good backup. And one final warning. When I was in the computer business, we had a customer call and say somebody broke into our place of business and stole our computers and all of the equipment. And we said, did you have a backup? Do you have a backup? And he said, yes. And I said, great. Where is it? He said, it's attached to the computer. That won't help him. So remember that when you do backups, make sure that they're not always left attached to your computer, maybe even in the same room or on the same desk. Somebody breaks in, you get hit by a hurricane or a tornado, and everything disappears. You don't have your backup. So you want to take a backup on a regular basis and put it either in a relative's house, a friend's house, or a deposit box in a bank, somewhere safe that you'll know that you have your backup. And also use the cloud for those cases as well. And on that note, I'm Huey Poplock. Thank you for being with us.